Season 2 has finally dropped, and thanks to that, we're finally getting ranked play. It's been a long wait coming. We had to sit through a whole first season. Today I'm going to go over the best class setups, a hardpoint breakdown for every map, the best settings you should be running, along with 3 quick tips that'll help you in your ranked play journey. This is your day 1 ranked play guide. I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm going to give these 3 tips out pretty quick. The first tip is going to be knowing when to play your life, especially in search and destroy. Don't want to always have to rush out there when it's not necessary. Play for info, get some picks. Tip number 2 is going to be rotating early. That's one of the biggest things that I noticed in myself that I don't always do. It's easy to get caught up in a gunfight. Maybe you're on a good streak collecting time and you don't rotate early. And finally, tip number 3, this is something really easy that everybody could do. Don't let your first game on be an L because you want to make an excuse that you're not warmed up. Shoot bots for 5 minutes if you can, 10 minutes if you can. Do whatever you need to do to make sure you're warmed up. Play a series of 8s if you really have the time. All right, next up is going to be the settings. All right, so these are the controller settings we're running. I'm playing on tactical, so I can drop shot with my right thumbstick. Stick out's going to be default. I'm playing on 1.75. Most people play between a 1.65 and 1.75. I think 1.75 is better on this game just because of all the advanced movement. Everything here I have off, although a lot of people do like to swap their bumpers with triggers. I'm not running any controller vibration, and these are my dead zone inputs. Left stick min is going to be 1, left stick max is going to be 50, just to get that max strafe. Right stick minimum is 3, and right stick max is going to be 0. My triggers are going to have a 0 dead zone. All right, moving on to aiming. My sensitivity multipliers are all the same. Advanced aim settings, I'm on instant. Aim response curve is going to be dynamic, and I have this just at a 1. For movement, I'm going to be running sprint assist on. That way I'm not constantly spamming my left stick. Mantle assist off, crouch assist off, corner slice off, wall jump assist off, combat roll assist off. All these assist features I'm going to have off. I want to be in control of my character's movement at all times. For movement behaviors, you're going to be wanting to run slide only or hybrid. For running tap to slide or tap to divide, there's always going to be some delay as your controller is going to have to decide what it wants to do. I don't really care about diving that much, but I just run slide only. Going to run sprint restore on, slide maintain sprint on. Wall jump activation is just on press. Sprint, tactical sprint's gonna be on toggle. Pretty much all this I have default. The combat, I'm gonna have most of this on default. One thing you may want to change under dedicated melee weapon activation, instead of hold melee, you can just have it to, while sprinting, you tap your melee button, it'll come out. I was trying this out for a while, but I didn't like it because I like to have my knife out before the round starts. For body shield / finishing move behavior, I'm not sure why this is on body shield only, but I would just do prioritize body shield. Everything else I'm gonna have on default. All right, moving on to graphics. We're going to start off in the display settings. I'm on full screen exclusive. You want to make sure your refresh rate is the highest it could be and your display resolution is accurate. My brightness is a preference. I play mine on 65 and I have my VSync off for both. Custom frame rate, I have this maxed out because my monitor reaches 300 Hertz. For the menus and everything else, I have it at 120. This is going to be under native. All right, moving on to quality. I'm at 1440. You're going to want to make sure this is matched to whatever your monitor is set to. Dynamic resolution's off. I'm using Fidelity Cast because I'm on a 9070 XT. And I have this set to 80. Frame gen, make sure you have off. Ray tracing off. Got my VRAM set to 75. Everything's going to be rock bottom except for my texture resolution. I have it at low instead of very low. And my texture filter anisotropic, I put it on ultra. Doesn't really affect your VRAM usage at all. Plus I have plenty to spare. But the biggest reason I like to use this, it's supposed to help with the edges of everything. So I keep this on ultra. Everything else is going to be pretty much rock bottom besides bullet impacts. Under view, I'm playing at 103. Although that's your preference. I want to say most of the pros are playing anywhere from the high 90s to like the low hundreds. ADS field of view is going to be affected. Weapon field of view will be wide. You don't want any motion blur. Make sure your camera movement's on least for both. Inverted flashbang, that's personal preference. I just leave that off. Under audio, my master game's at 60 because this game is super loud. I have my dialogue at 100 and effects at 100. My audio device, that's default, but it's going straight into my headset I'm wearing right now. I got the enhanced headphone mode on. I'm rocking Sucker Punch with my headset. You can play with this, see what sounds better. I know some people use the headphones bass boost or Treyarch mix, but Sucker Punch works well for me. The next big setting you're going to want to check out is your HUD bounds. That's going to be under your interface and gameplay HUD. You want to select this and make sure it's as tight as it could be. This will ensure that your mini mouse is close to the middle of your screen along with the kill feed. That way you're able to see it easier. You're going to want to make sure you have mini-map rotation enabled. I prefer having the compass on. I don't use it often, but it's good to have it. For my crosshair lines, I'm playing on static, and my crosshair dot is also static, and I have it on largest. I've also turned off my agoraphobics and arachnophobia mode just to help with frames. I don't need any unnecessary stuff going on. All right, the first class setup we're going to go over is the M15. There's a couple different ways that the pros have been running it lately. This is the way I've been doing it and enjoying it. For the optic, it's going to be the same, the lethal 2 Zelo. For the barrel, it's going to be the 16.5 inch fusion barrel. This is pretty much going to be the equivalent of the reinforced barrel from BO6. The underbarrel, we're using the iron hold angled grip for its increase in aiming, idle sway, aim walking steadiness, aiming, idle sway delay, and horizontal recoil control. Skipping it on the magazine for the rear grip, we're using the hex cut grip for an increase in dive to fire, slide to fire speed, aim down sight speed, and jump aim down sight speed. This is pretty similar to the ergonomic grip from BO6. Moving on to the stock, we're using the Wanderer 3V stock. This is going to give us a buff in aim walking movement speed. All right, for an alternative version of this build, I've seen some people switch over to the 20 inch for increased velocity. I know that's what Scrap's been doing. And then the other alternative is instead of this iron hold grip, people are moving over to the mobility foregrip, the quick step. This is going to give you a buff in aim walking movement speed, and hip fire movement speed. And the build looks something like this. All right, moving on to the Dravik. There's also a couple different versions of this loadout. What I've been running is the Hawker Hybrid for the muzzle. This is going to give you an increase in your hip fire spread, slide and dive to fire speed, and your tactical stance spread. And we're using the 19-inch barrel for an increased damage range. The front gate mag for reload quickness, aim down sight speed, and frontis fire speed. For the rear grip, it's going to be the Z1 grip for an increase in dive to fire, slide to fire, aim down sight speed, and jumping aim down sight speed. And the stock is going to be the Q-step stock for an increase in aim walking speed. This build is going to be for somebody that's taking more gunfights at a really close range. All right, now this is going to be the other Dravik build that's going to be more suited for your longer range engagements. The muzzle is going to stay the same as the Hawker Hybrid, although you could be using the Hawker Stabilizer as it's going to help you with your recoil control, but you really don't need it. This gun beams better than the AR, to be honest. The barrel's going to stay the same. You're taking off the magazine and instead you're putting on these overpressured rounds for the increase in the bullet velocity and damage range to help you at long distances. For the rear grip, instead of the Z1 grip, that's kind of like your ergonomic grip from BO6, we're switching up for the quick arm grip. This is going to give you a buff in aim down sight speed and jumping aim down sight speed. But the biggest thing for this one is the aim down sight speed for quick snaps. And we're keeping the same stock for our aim walking movement speed. All right, moving on to the perks for the builds. You're going to want to rock Ninja, Fast Hands, Dexterity, and Flak. You can swap over Flakjack for Tech Mask. Or if you're not getting naded or stunned a lot, you can switch over to Lightweight. This is what I try to use unless I'm sitting on the hill a lot. Until rank does drop, this is all we know for sure what we're getting. Make sure you stay tuned, like and subscribe for more. We're going to get started with Scar for the first map of a hardpoint breakdown. We'll jump straight into it. Right here is P1. This pretty much runs around this border. Really, the only cover is going to be this right here in the middle. One of the best angles you're going to be able to hold is this heady right here. If you're spawning from this side, you're going to want to have somebody watching your store, keeping an eye on this pin. This middle piece is pretty much the only thing you have cover from. You can hold an angle right here over to the tank. You can watch your cover from store if you're on this side. You can kind of lay down right here and watch your pinch, although you're still exposed from the store. When you're defending from this side, it's pretty much the same thing. You could hold your store. You could hold your mid cut right here. You can just straight be a hill kidding in the back. You can get some shots off from top green. In my opinion, I feel like it's much easier to defend this from this side of the hill. All right, moving on to P2. Well, this is P2. This is top motel. Some of the most common spots you can get time on this hill are going to be around this electrical box, proning here, same thing on this side, and you can also hop up here. Do keep in mind, if you're going to be top motel protecting your team on the hill, that this is all extremely wall bangable. If you're holding from this side, they're really only going to come from two ways. They're going to be flooding most likely through the satellite side, but they can also come through the pinch right here and through P1. Move on next to P3. This is mid cut. This is P3. You can just call this plain heady or plain. You definitely want to be holding from this side since the next hard point is going to be over here in bottom blue. By this time you should have a trophy and you'd want to put it right here. That way it'll actually catch anything before it gets to you. If you're on time, you don't want to be poking out too much, but you still can be throwing shots. For sure want to have somebody on this plain heady. And then you always want to have somebody holding mid because the spawns for next are super important. You do not want to get flipped out early. This is fences or wood. This is tank. This is back blue, bottom blue, or bottom P4, top P4. On this hard point, you're gonna want at least one person on top. They could potentially be coming from old. You can come from P1 side, but there's actually a really common spawn point over here in P2 that people come from a lot. So having control on this side is pretty important. These spawns can also get flipped pretty easy, so it is going to be important to make sure you have somebody keeping control of the back. Probably the best place to hold time would be right here. You're pretty safe back here. As soon as someone contests, you already know where they're going to be because you have somebody on top covering you and somebody in the back watching your back door. So there's really only one way to enter the hard point. Next is P5. This is probably the one you want to rotate to the earliest because of how far it's going to be. By the way, this is top green, P5 window or top P5. And this whole area right here is going to be P5. Although this is pretty wall bangable, even though you can still be here, you probably won't get shot at unless they know you're here. The common spawn point will be back here if we're holding time, unless you're getting pinched. Just be careful with this plane heady for sure. You can shoulder right here and watch mid cut, and you should have teammates right here holding your pinch for sure. One of the best lines of sight, instead of trying this, you do have a head glitch, of course, but you can peek right here just to get info from down there. It's gonna be the scar breakdown. All right, moving on next to exposure. We're gonna start off in P1 as always. P1 is gonna be right here in this whole middle area. Gonna cut off to right around here and kind of wrap around here. Really, the only cover you have is these barrels. Although if you are on this side, what you can do is lay down here and you can at least get info of this whole zig cross. Although do keep in mind you are gonna be exposed from this heady right here. And it's gonna be the same thing on this side. You could prone here and get info from bottom ring. Same thing, you would be exposed from this heady here. P1's gonna be pretty scrappy as always, and you will want to make sure you rotate early to P2. This is gonna be long. This is mid cut, and this is P2. The best way you're gonna want to hold it is on this side, as P3 is gonna be that way. There's a couple different spots you can be on this hill to collect time. Obviously, you can watch mid cut from the tank right here. You could prone, get a pretty good angle. You can shoulder their solar side. You could wall jump over for info, get some shots down. You could prone back here. You could hold this corner right here. Same thing, you could hold this tight angle here. You're definitely gonna wanna have teammates on top solar to help protect you on this one. If you get on top of these crates right here, you get a pretty good line of sight on the other side of solar. And on their screen, they're barely gonna be able to see you. This is BS and D, the bomb's gonna be right around here. This is kind of your top plat. This is gens. This is back P3. This is top P3. This is bottom P3 right here. If your team has your back covered good, you can hold P3 just from, you can collect time from up here and be pretty safe from anything. If you are up in this head glitch, you don't want to just be sticking out like this. Definitely want to have control of the back, as these spawns are really close to get in here. This is probably common knowledge by now, but anytime you want to jump into something and you don't want to get the mantle animation, just stay ADS and you'll be good. Alternatively, if you don't want to ADS, you hit the left side of this window and you bounce right in. All right, moving on to P3. I'm going to take another route just to show you guys some more. This is zig, as we talked about earlier. This whole area is going to be dirt. Depending on where the spawns are, it could be their dirt, our dirt. This is also where one of the overload goals is going to be. And do keep in mind, you can wall jump in so many spots just for info, such as right here. Even here, you can just jump for info if you hit a triple jump. Jump on the right side, jump on the front, and you can see all of this hill. You can jump in this crate, of course. You can get on this ladder and on this little top nest platform. Also, keep in mind that anytime a round start, if you spawn on this side and you go full speed, the opening of this crate will always be aligned with you. Also, keep in mind that you can get out of the map all the way around here. I think this is going to be something that's more helpful during overload, and it works both ways. You don't even have to have your knife out. All right, that's top ring. This is back ring. The actual P4 is going to be right here in this little room. A good angle to hold it from the front is going to be right over here. You can watch your side door from here. This is a pretty good angle, as there's really no cover. They have to straight chow you. And you really shouldn't have to watch your back if your teammates are doing what they need to be doing. Probably the best spot for an AR to be is on this back 18 heady. You just got to make sure that they don't pinch you all the way from the back. Another decent spot to be at is proning up here. Like I said already, keep in mind they can take a deep pinch this way and take you out. All right, moving on to P5. It's going to be this whole bottom dirt area. It's pretty critical to make sure you have control of the top. Some of the best spots you could be at are right here. If we're spawning on this side and nobody's holding this yet, you could easily post up right here. You're blocked from this side. You're blocked from the top there. You really only have to watch out for this. You can get some shots off. If you feel like you're going to use a gunfight, you could easily just drop shot, and then hopefully they won't chow you too quick. Although if you do have support from up here, you can jump straight up here, get some shoulders in. You can get some jump shots in. You can hold it here. You can collect time all the way up here. A good off angle is even up here, especially if you have another teammate up here. You guys can hit a little bait and switch and then chow the other team. I'll wrap it up for the our exposure. All right, next up is going to be Den. This is going to be P1 right here. This is really your only cover you have. You could hold this angle right here to watch your mid cut. You can just stay prone. You can watch this side here. Watch your top window. You can wall jump for info. Really not much to P1. Like most, it is scrappy. One thing to keep in mind, this is definitely going to be the good side, as your P2 is going to be in this room over here. A common pinch people will take off the rip is through this roofs route. Since there's really no point of anybody hitting it, if you spawn on this side, you just want to be sure if you're missing anybody, you're watching for it. Same thing goes with this P3 side, which is right here. Usually at least one person will go this way though, as this mid cut is kind of a power position, as you can help protect P1 and make sure no one pinches through this way. All right, moving on to P2. This is going to be couches, and this room is P2, like I said. The good spawns would be back here. You don't need somebody necessarily hard blocking all the way back here, although it wouldn't be a horrible idea. Depending on where your team is positioned, they will likely spawn over on this roof side, and they'll try to bang it out. You don't have any trophies, and I feel like this one gets naded a lot, so you definitely want to have flak on. All right, moving on to P3. Lockers right here. The area is P3. This is your outer. This is 10. This area is dojo. There's a couple spots you can hold this from. You could be nice and tight up here. You could play right here in mid cut. You can be up here watching through P2 side. With this one, you're going to want to make sure you push through early. Like I said earlier, this is dojo. This is patio. These are the pillars. This is a pretty good head glitch that people won't check often. And this is P4. There's a couple good spots you want to hold this from. This tree is not wall bangable, so it's a pretty good piece of cover. If you do have spawns, they're more likely going to be banging out from the roof side. So you could have somebody up here kind of being ratty, keeping them busy. It kind of has a line of defense from you right here. A good spot is you could be prone here watching this and easily get back into cover. You could play back here. For sure want to have your teammates watching your back, as banging out the front of this hill is not easy. You will likely see routes being taken. That's going to be the breakdown for Den hardpoint. All right, this is Colossus hardpoint breakdown. This is going to be P1 right here. This is bottom blue. And that side's going to be yellow. There's really only a couple of good spots you can be holding this from, such as laying down here, proning balcony side. Keep in mind there's lines of sights on the top of both these crates. Same thing goes on yellow. This P1 gets pretty mixy like most, and you're definitely going to want to make sure you have flak jacket on, because nades flying here like crazy. The blue side is definitely going to be the better spawn, as P2 is going to be over here. A common power position that's going to be held is statue. This is probably the easiest way that you're going to be able to enter into P1. Alright, moving on to P2. P2 is going to be this bottom area right here. Keep in mind this barrel will explode. You're definitely going to be the one to do this before the enemy does it to you. For sure want to have somebody in the back blocking spawns, and keep an eye on your pinch from through this deep route over here. Some of the best spots to be at while you're on time is back here. You can be hitting the wall jump over here to get kills, or just play for info. You can be prone up here. You also got this head glitch. All right, moving on to P3. Now this area I've heard being called a couple different things. I've heard it called X-ray, underground, tunnel. The guys in Torn like to call this TSA. And here's your P3. Some people might call this sub, but this whole area is just going to be P3. There's really only two ways you can hold this. One being by sitting back here, or of course, same thing on this side. And pretty much right in front of this sheet metal up here. Having control of this yellow side is definitely going to be ideal, as the next hardpoint will be over here. You also have the better power position, such as this head glitch, which is commonly known as God Heady. All right, moving on to P4. Like I said, this yellow side is going to be the ideal spawns. You for sure need somebody hard blocking to watch the pinch, especially playing for exits on old. Kind of similar to P2 earlier. And this whole area will be P4 all the way around here. My favorite spot, similar to P2, is hitting this wall jump. Get some pretty easy kills up here. You're in the air for such a long time to where you can actually take someone out. Another good spot might be right here. You just got to make sure that you have somebody watching your pinch through P1 and all the way deep in the back for sure too. Keep in mind there's another barrel here that can be blown up. And that's going to wrap up Colossus. Moving on to Blackheart, hardpoint. This is going to be P1 right here. The good side is going to be over here. You can hit wall jumps for info. The best contest point would be proning here and watching anybody take a route through the wall jump. They could be here watching through the office. Kind of a good off angle would be proning here. You might be a little exposed from the wall jump, but they're probably not going to read you proning right in front. P1's pretty mixy, but overall you want to ensure that you get the spawns for P2. P2 is going to be in this building and the front. Something I don't see often is when people have control of P2, they never hit this wall jump here for info. This is a super good one, as the most common chow spots are going to be people coming in from long and coming in from P1. This one's pretty easy to hold. A common spawn point though is going to be here, and if people take this pinch, they'll for sure get it and they'll shoot you right in the back. Some common spots you'll see are people playing a tight angle up here. You got people here kind of shouldering both, kind of seeing if there's anything going on this way, playing for info. You could have ARs on these headies right here. The hard points on this map are pretty far from each other, so you definitely do want to rotate early. This right here is going to be your P3, and the good spawns for that would be all the way back here. Common pinch route would be all the way through your long and through these P1 doors. On this hill, there's actually quite a bit of places you could hold from. You could be prone up front, prone on this side. You can post up right here and get anybody coming out of dubs. Same thing on this side, although you are exposed in the back. You want to keep in mind of anybody taking these back routes. All right, so next P4 is going to be all the way back over here. While on P4, you do want to have somebody hard blocking, just to ensure you do not get pinched. You can watch people going from old, anybody coming from dubs. By now, this is a pretty good hill to have your trophies on. People are going to try to tell you from the stairs. They're also going to pinch through the back. This is another pretty big hill to have. And P5 is going to be this whole area right about here. Pretty much all of this. You can hold angles here. You can shoulder this for info. The good spawns are going to be this side. You can get people challenging you, taking a route from old all the way back here. Super deep route. Just keep in mind, if anyone's taking this route all the way through the back, it's going to take quite some time. You should be able to catch a read on it pretty easily, just from missing people. You can help watch the hill from the back this way. Just keep in mind the most common places are going to be here and through here. That's going to wrap it up for the hardpoint breakdown.